My fellow HHN obsessies, and welcome to the HHN Obsession Podcast, where we talk about all things HHN and obsess together over this amazing event. I am your host, JJ. With me, as always, the co-ghost, James.
James, you heard that right. Co-ghost is like co-host. You get it.
Yeah. And I'm about to steal his thunder right now. Guess
My thunder. No, my thunder. What? Tell me.
I'm taking over the ghost of the day because the ghost of the day is none other than the co-ghost himself. Happy belated birthday, James.
I'm finally co-ghost of the day. Makes sense. It wasn't an accident that I stuttered. Yeah, it's me. It was my birthday. Thanks for the ghost of the day, though. That's I know how it feels now. That's nice.
I know another ghost of the day that I saw today. As of this recording, it is Neve Campbell's birthday from Scream, the true final girl.
Hey, ghost face of the day.
Ghost face of the day. Yeah, that's true. So James doesn't want to disclose his age, but I will disclose mine because our second trip coming up, the first day we get there is October 30th, which will be my birthday, and I will be turning 30. So I will be celebrating the death of my 20s at HHN33.
30 on 30. That's pretty nice.
So if everything goes well, we're going to be recording a second live episode for that second trip, which will be on my birthday, and I will be the ghost of the day.
Ooh, heck yeah, ghost of the week. I like it. Yeah, this is a big one, big bash. You got all your entourage and me.
All right, well, what is up, everybody? It is good to be back on the mic to talk about HHN33 and our first impressions of it. I'm just going to say right off the bat, there's going to be some controversial opinions coming up on the episode. Just a little disclaimer here. Almost all season long, I was super positive about HHN33. I was all about it. I was saying the greatest things, and I was just hyped for it. Even when so many people were like saying all this negativity about the hype of HHN33, I was still staying positive on it. I was so certain that it was going to be a surprise year. So far, my initial first impression, unfortunately, that is not what happened. And I hate to say that. Again, disclaimer, this has nothing to do with the scare actors. If anything, those scare actors were the reason I was still having a great time at HHN. They were giving it their all, so has nothing to do with them. So I guess going right into it, there's something very off about this year. Coming off a very strong year of HHN32 and going into this year, something is very obviously off. My first impression, thoughts of what I could see overall was some kind of budget cut thing going on, which is very possible. And
for sure,
there is rumors kind of going back and forth if there is budget cuts, there wasn't budget cuts. To me, there is obviously some kind of lower budget thing happening this year. And it's more than likely Epic Universe. Epic Universe has brought down HHN33 this year, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was a given. Was that controversial? I thought people knew that. Like, definitely resources are being leached. So
it's not a for sure fact. I don't think it's a for sure fact, but it's almost obvious that that's what happened.
I mean, one entity can only stretch so much. It's going to end up, other places.
So let me explain what I'm talking about as far as how I think the budgets were lower this year. First off, the house sets and like the overall like detail to me is nowhere near the normal average level of what HHN usually is. Like, there's no Blood Moon or Darkest Deal this year. There just isn't, in my opinion. Some of the sets of some of these houses are so bare bones. I'm like, what happened? And I'm gonna throw one under the bus right off the bat.
What's that?
Monstros.
Weak sauce or what?
I wouldn't. I'm not sure about weak sauce as far as like the house goes. I definitely need more runs before I even say where that is on my rankings. But as far as sets go, I was very disappointed. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Like, anybody can, comment if they think otherwise. But go through that house. Next time we go through that house, pay attention. The walls in there are like so bare bones. The sets are so bare bones. You'll be walking through a hall and it's like a picture frame on the wall. Or like, spoiler alerts, by the way, if you haven't been to the event. Stop listening if you haven't been to the event. Um, for example, El Muerte. Midway through the house, he's like in this little cubby, just kind of standing there, and there's like no like detail around him really. It's just like this weird little cubby house thing that he's in, and he's just there singing. Like, what? Usually you go into these houses and there's such crazy amounts of little detail and like just so many props. There's like just hundreds and hundreds of props that like decorate the entire sets. That is not what was happening in a lot of these houses. Monstrous was the most obvious one for me. It had its great moments. There was some amazing parts of that house. That crazy La Chusa animatronic was amazing. It blew my mind.
Yeah. The thing with that though is that speaks for itself, not the setup around it. It was borrowed from the last place, so
Yeah,
of course it's going to be awesome. So
that is correct.
so it's too bad that can't be a point in their favor, but yeah. And I want to say like overall impressions, which I think might be where you're headed based on this. It did feel like a creative hand or like a creative mommy or daddy brain trust was absent during this whole thing. Like they were elsewhere focusing on their priorities. Like this was backseat, back of the mind in a lot of ways. Like not only did they miss a lot of obvious things and the food was lacking, like the 33 and the things and a lot of other obvious. I mean, they do miss things over other years, but it seemed like it was like double whammy ultimate this year. I think that might be where you're headed, right? Because
Yeah, I mean,
budget cuts, I mean, in general.
it was on everything. And please don't take all this stuff that we're talking about and like stop listening to the podcast and unfollow us. Like, I'm giving these critiques because I love HHN so much. There's a reason I started a podcast called HHN Obsession. I am obsessed with the event, and I want it to be great. So when something's off, I want to talk about it. I want to give my overall opinion on it. I still love it. I'm still excited to go back at the end of October. I'm gonna be all about it. But there's just some stuff that I want to talk about that I am not a fan of this year.
Yeah,
So
there's standards because when people, us, people in the circles, we know what they're capable of. We know their potential, and like, yeah, we're gonna be picky if they're like slacking.
and especially when those ticket prices keep going up. That's
Yeah,
something I also want to bring up. Those tickets are not cheap. The passes are not cheap. So there's an expectation of at least of that quality level to at least stay the same. I mean, improve is one thing. To stay the same is at least what I want to happen.
yeah, bare minimum. Keep that single standard steady.
But
Yeah, maybe this is an exception to. It's a different year, but even the pandemic years, they pulled through to their best ability.
yeah, and even parts of that were still better than some of the stuff that happened this year. Like, I mean, I don't want to get too far into that, but there's just certain things that are a bummer whenever the prices go up so high, and then you show up and then there's an obvious lower quality of things, lower budget of things, and it's more than likely because they have a $3 billion or whatever it is theme park that they're about to open. It's
Mm-hmm.
literally in the billions. So it's pretty obvious that played a role in what happened this year. So that's kind of my initial first throw at the event. Like I said, it just feels off, and maybe it's because I've never been to the event during the first week. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just haven't felt, what it's like for the event to be in the baby stages, cuz I've heard that over time they have to like get into their groove, and then it's firing at all cylinders toward the end. Maybe that's
Mm.
what it is. There another factor is the entire time we were there, it was raining Like it was either sprinkling or it was just coming down. On both nights we were there. That could have played a factor in what I thought about it. It definitely
Yeah,
played a factor in scare zones. A lot of the times there was no scare actors in scare zones because of the weather. So that was a kind of a rare occasion where we got there was a rare occasion of where we got to see the scare actors in the zones.
yeah. I think it's as simple as, you got these eggs in your basket. The biggest one's gonna have some gravity to it. It's gonna have its own orbit so big. That's what all this money is. They got their favorites. It's okay. We're not the favorite this year. It happens.
And it wasn't just the houses, like I think you already mentioned, even the food options felt like they were an afterthought. They weren't as
Say cheeseburger. That's a slap in the face. that in fact, it would be even a nice added thing with the thing if they slapped you in the face with the cheese. Like say cheese, with the
J-
cheese right in the face.
James just doesn't like cheese. He's a cheese hater, that's why.
It's true, but also that name boring. If you give it a good name, maybe I'll eat some cheese.
I
Maybe I'll try
will
it.
I will say this though about that item. I haven't tried it, you haven't tried it, but everyone is raving about that freaking burger. It's it sounds like the most it sounds like the most basic burger. There's nothing special about it when you look at the ingredients, but all the food vlogs that I've watched,
uh,
that's like on the top of everybody's list. So everybody's like, this burger's amazing.
um, I weep for the vloggers.
I mean, to be fair, last year the peanut butter burger, the actual burger itself was super juicy and flavorful, and it was nothing like a theme park burger. So I feel like that's probably how that one's made, and maybe that's
Mm,
why it's so good. I don't know. I'm gonna try it on the next trip because I'm curious.
it's the secret follow up to the delicious one from last year. It's the secret sequel.
I guess. I mean, I don't think it's gonna top that one, but
It's not even themed. It's just because of whatever
it is themed.
film. Yeah, the film and the whatever. Is it
It's
like
it's
a?
it's got a happy birthday little toothpick on the top.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a must, huh? For the birthdays.
Hey, I'm gonna get that on my birthday.
Hey,
Heck yeah.
new profile pic.
Okay, so food wise, scare zone wise, for sure. My gosh. Like I said, we didn't get the full effect of the scare zones, but it was still so obvious. The most obvious one was duality of fear. I mean, we've talked about how much we both love chainsaw hordes. That was
Yep.
just weird. There's one thing to put a chainsaw horde in Simpsons and they have this whole area to like roam around in. This chainsaw horde is confined to this one little spot, and there's no theming around it besides that Halloween Horror Nights neon sign and maybe like two pieces of fabric. They're claiming that that is a fifth scare zone.
With that little crossroads square.
Yeah, that's the fifth scare zone. Like that's what they're
Oh,
claiming is the fifth scare zone.
square zone. Haha.
That is the square zone. I don't know what happened there. What they were thinking. I don't know if it was because it's right at the entrance and there was a lot of bottleneck there last year or something. I don't know. What I want to do is next trip I do want to spend a little time in there just watching the chainsaws because I did have fun in the past sitting and watching chainsaws go at it.
What?
But
Right at the entrance.
I don't want to spend a lot of time there, but I just feel like I didn't get to see them in action a lot. So maybe that'll change my opinion a little bit.
Yeah, we missed the part where they start playing lacrosse with their back umbrellas. They got a dead head that bounces between the little skin circles. And they get a
It,
good volley going. I don't know. Chainsaws feel forced at this point. I mean, they used to have a good thing. I don't want to cry about Simpsons all the time, but I mean, the environment is what sold it because the clowns blend in with the environment and they pop out and they're just a swarm of bees with their energy and they got it's their playground. Same complaint with Megan. They put her in a little box. It was kind of sad. I miss the little Megan horde, but Chainsaw Horde at this point it used to mean something. I feel old saying this, but like, dude, just give a couple leather clad freaks some chainsaws and call it a day.
mm-hmm.
Lazy, nah. And that's definitely not a scare zone. I mean, it's like a 10-foot square block of nothing, and it's just for the sake of having something at the very front, so that there's not nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
because minions took that spot and that whole area is kind of blank now. So you got to have something. So I'll give them that. But I mean, I don't have solutions. I'm just here saying what it is, I guess. But I
No,
agree.
I agree with what you just said too. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. Now,
Chainsaw Horde used to mean something.
but Torture Fair is a pretty decent zone. Demon Queens, from what I saw, was okay. I want to spend more time in Demon Queens. Same thing goes for the swamp of the undead zone.
Yeah, the Swambies.
We got those chainsaws up front, and then we got Blumhouse, which that one is barely a scare zone.
Isn't it exactly what we feared? It's a little showcase. It's exactly
Yeah, yeah,
what we thought it was going to be.
it's a photo op zone. That's all it is, and it feels so empty, even when there is scare actors in there. That's another one I want to spend a good amount of time in, just to see, just kind of walk in circles in there, just see how it is, fill it out a little more, because I do like Blumhouse characters, and I want it to be better than what it is. But maybe I'm just trying too much. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you've always been a proud proponent of Blumhouse, but I mean, to be real, it is what it is. You know, they're a budget thing. They spit out movies, good quality for the budget, but you know they keep proving themselves with these cheap outs.
All right. Well, I know we're kind of all over the place here, so let's go back to houses and let's try to do this in some kind of an order here. So there was definitely some better houses out of the bunch. Like, there was a very hard top three, in my opinion, really, really good houses. Not to the level of last year's really good houses. They're kind of on a little lower tier, in my opinion. But still, there was three like really good ones, and then a big handful of good ones is how I'm kind of feeling it off the first impressions. Another issue that I had this year with the houses is there is a big handful of them that just felt way too short. Like, right when they were getting going, it ended. There was an obvious amount of short houses this year, as well as story comprehension problems, at least for me. Usually I'm pretty good about following stories in houses. I There's a lot of houses I couldn't quite do that off my first couple runs. That's definitely going to be what I'm going to go for on the next trip, is try to focus on following the story of some of those houses, of what I couldn't pick up, what I
Uh
couldn't pick
huh.
up on before, you know?
Does that mean is that going to influence the order that you go in? Do they connect in that way, or does it matter? They're still standalone, right?
No, they're still standalone. It's just, as far as just the certain houses that
Hey, do you think independent of last year being such a banger, so cohesive, so all about Oddfellow, regardless of that, this year still speaks for itself in its weakness, right? And it's kind of scattered.
I think so. I
Like
mean,
even if last year wasn't so solid, I think this year still
like,
is indefensible, right? For what
but is that another reason that we could be,
I mean, partly, but that's what I'm saying is I think even without it, still a little weak this year. But
could we be being too harsh on this year because last year was so much of a banger? Like, there's expectations of
part
the
of it, yeah,
follow up.
I think part of the harshness has to do with that, but not all of it, right? Like it's still take that out of the equation. It's still budget cuts, and it's obvious.
Extremely obvious. Yeah. I talked about Monstros,
Yeah.
which wasn't intentional to be the first one, but that's what I went for. So it just happened to be the one up front. Quiet Place. I was kind of impressed with Quiet Place, believe it or not. I mean, there's certain aspects that I wish would have been in there, but it was still a good go at the IP.
Hmm.
I love that as soon as you go into that house, it was an automatic, like, dark hallway with the silent walls, or the silent backwards speakers happening. I don't know what that's called, whenever they basically silence the room with that
Yeah.
technology, with that audio technology that makes things quiet. It's the same technology that's like in AirPods, where you hit the setting on the AirPod and it silences your surroundings in your ear.
It's like the
It's
reverse switch, right? Like the one switch puts the sound in your ear, and this one it takes it out. It's like vacuums out the
Yeah,
noise.
it's almost like that. I don't know if it's the same technology, but it almost seems like that. Right off the bat, you go into that and it immediately becomes kind of terrifying. I was all about that, and then you walk into the title card scene, which I was not expecting.
Yeah,
I
that was
thought it was
tight.
cool, where you see a quiet place up above, and you walk through the little mini cornfield that they built. I really wish
Yeah.
that the cornfield scene was bigger, but whatever. But
It was there. That's solid.
the weather's been really bad this year, and people are blaming that corn in there, man. It's been raining a lot at Horror Nights.
I know it even flooded. The rain flooded so much it flooded the Quiet Place house. I saw
What?
a floater in there. I saw a corn floating around.
Oh, the scene. You're talking
Yeah,
about
the
the
basement.
basement scene. Oh god. There was a piece of corn floating around in there.
That was probably one of the more creative parts was that flooded scene. Like obviously it's not that deep,
Mhm.
but I love what they did. And yeah, I mean, I know people are complaining about the animatronics being real stiff, and maybe the scream was a little bit lackluster. Like it was like but whatever. I mean, I'm just happy we got to the dock scene, and yeah, they covered a lot for what they did. It was good.
I personally think that the animatronics for the monsters was fine. I didn't really have that much of a problem with them. I thought they were great in certain scenes.
Yeah, I like
And
the shininess. They're so shiny.
one of them got you super good. One of them was kind of like in a boo hole, and I remember like you were like, "Whoa, what is that?" And then boom.
Yeah, they blend together. I don't know. That was a good one though.
So I have seen people complain about this for this year. Is there's a lot of reused sets? Again, budget right there. That screams lower budget cuts, whatever. The dock scene is a reused scene. We just did it backwards from last year. It's the exact same set as Yeti Campground Kills, except we entered through the opposite side of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
Huh.
in Yeti Campground Kills. We enter this dock and there's a lake right in front of it, and it's almost the same exact set. It made sense for a quiet place. I mean, it made
Yeah, that's
sense
not bad, right?
to
As
use it
long
in
as
there.
if it's laid out correctly and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
But
another thing. Like budget cuts, yeah, you do things cheaper, but you can be creative with your solutions. Like, do you like money? You can do cheap things that stretch your budget. Like stretch those dollars. I had an example. I'll come back to it. I forgot. Yeah, I don't know if it was. It was. Oh yeah, it was with the food, the ice creams. Like I keep talking about my horn ice creams.
mm-hmm.
Like you could do cheap stuff with food that you squeeze out the dollars, because if you got a horn challenge, you're already selling double the product, and then I don't know, maybe you get a third one, or maybe your friend gets one. But how much of your forehead ice cream are you gonna eat? Like watch those McDonald's drive-through challenges. Like I don't see them eating too much of that ice cream. It's like, and cones and ice cream cheap. I think a lot of the creative team was just not there for a lot of this. I feel like they were elsewhere.
Epic Universe, possibly.
Yeah, they're coming up with bangers for food items over there. That's where
Yeah,
the energy's going.
that's where it's going right now.
Yeah, just wait for the menu launch. It's gonna be unreal. They're gonna have holographic foods. It's gonna be like drone delivery to your face.
Um, okay, so as far as the silent, quiet aspect of the house, what did you think about that?
I didn't hate it. I was there for it, and I had to remind myself a few times, like, "Oh yeah, like shut up." And I think that's the point of it, right? Because you go in and it eases you in. You're not like instant quiet, like because I heard myself a few times, and I was like, "Oh yeah, let me limit my
So
reactions."
I didn't see anybody shushing us like as far as like workers went, because that was
Yeah,
like
that's right. That was something.
that was like the whole rumor that was going
Yeah.
around. Apparently, that has started up now. Before you go into the house, there's apparently workers going shh or
Oh man, you were wondering about the ushers? There they are, the shushers.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's before you enter the house, I don't think I have a problem with that. It's if they were in there in the middle of the house doing that, I feel like that would ruin it. I think as long as it's like right before you enter, whatever. That's cool. It's just warning you,
Yeah.
hey, there's creatures in there that are gonna kill you if you say anything. So
And finish that booze and sip faster. I don't know.
But in all honesty, though, it wasn't exactly like if we talked, a monster would jump out. I feel like it was still part of a scare pattern.
Yeah. You think they're gonna update that? Is it gonna be like more reactive?
Maybe. I kind of hope so. I hope by the end of the run, it will be
Yeah.
a little more closer to that, where if somebody does talk or make a sound, they'll jump at you right away. Because
Yeah, man.
I kind of tested it out. I kind of like
What?
clapped. I kind of clapped at one point, or like I said something to
Dang.
see if like anything would happen, and it didn't.
The audacity. Pushing boundaries.
I know.
Even that button I didn't push. I was like, oh, do I push? Do I push? I didn't
Oh,
push it.
not don't talk about that yet. Not yet. Hold on.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Okay, so that was A Quiet Place. Not bad. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to go back and see if it improves at all. Hopefully, it doesn't go down the list. But right now, it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I'd look forward to some big changes, something to contrast, to give the people something to talk about.
Next up, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. In my honest opinion, the biggest surprise of the year.
Ghostbusters. Yeah, I turned around on it. I was expecting corporate greed, but I got like a nice little love letter. It was with still some cash grabs, some merch drops, but can't complain. Good on Dan Aykroyd for keeping his legacy around, and they did it justice. I mean, it had everything you want in it. A little ghost blob at the end too.
For all like the negativity I heard about the 29 house was like a Disney attraction walkthrough. Like it was just walking through Ghostbusters. It wasn't even hardly a haunted house like people trying to scare you. It was just scenes being played as you walk through. It was like a play basically.
Hey, that sounds like a dig, but Disney standard, that's not a bad compliment.
But for Halloween Horror Nights though,
Sure.
you don't really want that. This to me was a haunted house of Ghostbusters. Like there was some absolutely scary moments. I did get a good handful of scares in this house. This is one of those where the sets were pretty detailed. I'll give them that for this house. It had a good length. It followed the movie the way it should have,
Yeah. It had
and
some natural clutter to it.
natural clutter. Yeah, yeah. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I was pleasantly surprised about this house. I don't know if James feels the same way, but that's
Yeah,
my
I
initial
uh
first thought.
I might have set up the expectations that I would not be looking forward to this, but it was just that I had no expectations, which I expected to set me up for a better than expected experience, which I think happened. You know, I went in blind and I came out, I don't know, with a slightly improved vision.
Well, you had this at number 10 for your hype, right? And I had it at 9. So I mean, we
Yeah,
both
definitely way down there just because of the greed aspect. Yeah, money. I feel like
and
they've been
we
popular.
we came out of that house apologizing to Ghostbusters for putting it so low. So
Yeah,
honestly, I don't think there's a whole lot of negativity to say about that house. You know,
I got one. I wanted
okay,
to see the little softball break. I wanted to see it shatter, and then like suck back up with wires or something. Something easy.
softball break. Oh, you're
Yeah, the
talking
little
about
metal, the
yeah,
little curse, the little cursed softball.
yeah. I get you. I get you.
It never shattered. Come on, I want a little Lego break, a little something. I was waiting. Hey, they got a good Dan Aykroyd though. The guy, good actor.
All right. So that's Ghostbusters first impression. Really fun house. Can't wait to go back and see that one. Next is another banger this year, and a very obvious banger. This is kind of the everybody feels the same way about it. House. It's Insidious the Further. Another kind of good surprise that we had this year. A lot of people thought this would at the least be in the middle of the pack, and it's been toward the top of a lot of people's list, and a lot of people's reviews. This house was so freaking long. I know I said a lot of the houses are short. For whatever reason, this house was like the longest of the event, and I think it's one of the longest I've ever done. It almost felt like it wasn't going to end. And not only was it long, that cast was going hard, man. The
Yeah.
cast of this house had to be like the veterans of HHN scare actors because they were going so hard the entire time. I got such good scares in this house. It was actually a scary house. The I never thought that a curtain hallway would be so damn scary. You know what I'm talking about? You remember that? Did you get some good scares in there?
Uh, I'm sure the hallway. Yeah.
Not the beginning. I'm talking about toward the end of the house. You're walking through this red curtain hallway, and "Tiptoes Through the Window" is like playing in the background, and then you
Yeah.
just get boom, 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 boom. All these red-faced demon actors just come in from all directions as you're walking through these curtains.
The Darth Mauls.
The Darth Mauls, yeah.
Pretty good. I got the shirt. I was careful with which tie dye I got because they're all unique.
I freaking love this house. This was one of the ones I was not disappointed with this year. Uh,
Yeah.
like I said, though, still not exactly the level of the best houses last year, but still great. Still thoroughly enjoyed it. What about you, James? Insidious.
Can't complain. Like I said, I'm rusty on the houses, and but the red door was awesome. It was huge, and I wanted to swing on the doorknob like some other fools that I saw. I was jealous, but
Oh,
I behaved.
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That curtain hallway at the beginning that usually has the banners. Best use of that hallway, in my opinion, that they've done so far. As soon as you turn the corner, see the hallway with the banners, and there's the red door at the very end with like the ominous music.
Yeah, man, I was vibing.
Perfection, dude. I even think I remember the first time we were walking through there, like you were like, I'm a little scared. Like
Never me.
you
No,
were like, I'm gonna get scared in this one. Like you said something along those lines.
nah, impossible. I don't know. You think? I don't remember the vibe was happening, but I ain't never scared except some of those were pretty bad. Like I don't remember which one it got. Uh, it got my legs. You know, it almost took my legs out.
That was
It
that
looked
was
bad. It looked
actually
like I was.
that was actually monstrous. The very end,
Ah,
that
they
very last
cheated though.
scare.
They weren't even in the house. The cheaters. That was after. That doesn't count. I think cheaters.
Nah, I dig it. It's unexpected.
What are they doing out there? It's not the house.
Maybe
It
they
was
got
above
you.
me.
They
It
got
was
you.
above me. That's natural reaction is like when a bird comes at you. Yeah, you're gonna react like that. You're gonna. Oh man, I crumpled. Mm-mm.
E- El Selbon got you.
Was that him? I don't know.
Yeah, it
He
was
could have been Jack Skellington. It'd been the same thing.
El
I can't see.
Selbon. All right, well, Insidious. Loved it. Can't complain. Next up, the last sound stage for HHN33 is Triplets of Terror. I had this really high on my hype. Um, Not really sure where it's going to go on my ranking, but first initial impression is this is one of the short houses this year where as soon as it got its momentum, it ended. Like what happened?
Hmm.
And I believe this is the same soundstage as Insidious. Did Insidious take up the whole soundstage and like this had like a little corner? Like what happened?
And I don't even know if they were British or American, like they were saying. Remember, it was like
They
up in the
weren't.
air.
They were American.
Okay, well, it kind of made no difference either way. Like, like I don't want to
Yeah.
say disappointed either, but yeah, it was pretty plain, pretty lackluster. A lot of straight edges. You expect like a little bit of like not Dutch tilt because how are you gonna have a sideways house, but a little bit of direction and variety, and it was pretty much like from garage to house to garage to house. A little plain.
Yeah, I did get that how they were going from house to house, but at the same time, I couldn't figure out the exact story of the house. So this is one of them where I want to go into it during our final run, our final week, and really pay attention to what's going on story wise in that house, and maybe it'll improve a little bit for me.
You think we missed much?
Well, there was one scene where it's like a podcast. Did you see that? It was like a podcast room, and it
Yeah,
had, interesting enough, had Lockhart, Texas on the wall. So I don't know
yeah.
if that was saying that I didn't get to read it very much because I saw it on our very last run, so I didn't read a whole lot of it. But I'm wondering if that meant that's one of the towns that they invaded, which is
Yeah, I thought
funny
that's where we
because
were, like
I,
throughout.
I don't know because there was multiple towns in that room on the wall.
Oh,
So again, I
well,
need to figure out
that's
what
a
was
pretty
going
cool
on.
shout out. Shout out Texas.
Well, not only that, funny enough, I live right in between of Lockhart, Texas and Bastrop, Texas. I literally go grocery shopping in Lockhart, Texas. So it's really funny how that was on the wall.
Funny
And
or
it
ominous?
is
That's not a
very,
great sign.
I guess it's weird. Anyway, first impression of Triplets of Terror is just kind of meh. Like I said, a little short. I couldn't grab the entire story. And a lot of the characters were kind of just like off to the side, kind of far away. So there wasn't a whole lot of scaring going on.
Yeah, very spacious. I remember that. It's a standout of that house was the elbow room.
Hmm. That's my initial first thoughts. I'm going to wait to see if this house improves at all toward the end of the run. I hope it does because it has a little bit of potential from what's in there. But there's only a certain there's a limit. There's definitely a limit that that house could improve on. Yeah, Triplet to Terror. That's what I have to say. I don't know if you want to add any last things for it, but
I guess I'll have to revisit the story as well as you know, because they did go on a spree, and there's three of them, and we got to know which, maybe why they're going around.
I mean, half of it might be my fault because we only had 2 days, and in my mind, I was like, I have limited time, so some of those houses I only did twice. I did a few houses more than twice from like Stay and Scream, but most of the houses I only did twice. So in my mind, I was like, I want to pay attention to the details of the sets and just focus on trying to get those scares. That was kind of where my mindset was. So I wasn't quite paying attention to the story of the house. So it might sort of be my fault that I didn't catch on to that. But that's going to be my focus for the next trip is trying to focus on the story of the houses and just stuff I missed on the first run. Just like some details maybe I missed on the first run. Oh, you know what I heard? Something to look out for in the next trip is every house this year has a snail hidden
Mm,
in it.
I saw that. I did see that.
So
Yeah, they're just screwing haphazardly through the little snail toys. Poor guys. Dude, that's like an old school Adventure Time thing. They would hide the evil snail because that's where the Lich was hiding. He possessed the snail, and they never saw him again for like I don't know how many seasons, but the snail was there.
like
He
they
was
put him
always
in the
hiding.
background of the cartoon.
Yeah,
Oh, that's scary.
yeah, that's like season 1 or 2 stuff. That's when it started turning from playful kid show to like dark stuff, like weird.
Oof.
Yeah, maybe it's translating into the real world. We got snails now.
Every year they do that though. I forgot what last year's item was. Can't remember, but this year is snails. So, we've talked about all the soundstage houses. We got Torture Fair. Definitely the highlight out of all the zones. Lots going on. Definitely a lot of things going on. Lots of characters. It's a really packed zone, which is good. It's very gory. And again, we didn't spend much time in there. I definitely want to spend more time in zones if we can the next trip, just to get the feel for them when it's not raining and when it's not as hot too. But I dug it. It was a little on the quiet side, and I think the whole event is weirdly quiet this year. The music is playing like super quietly in the background when it's usually like cranking. Just stuff like that. It just feels weird again. Just feels off. I don't know, but the little show is cool. We caught some of the sinister spiel that she does on the stage. That was kind of nice. That was kind of
Yeah, the tongue lopping, lop that tongue out.
which is funny because that the scare actor that at least the one we saw is the same actor from last year that got sacrificed in the vamp zone. So he's like I don't know if that's a running joke they're going to be doing where they get the same guy.
He's typecast. He's too good. He's too good at dying and getting tortured.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts of that zone is the little merchandise stand because the guy actually like talks to you. He doesn't have like a handful of like the same lines. He'll actually like speak to you, and then there's a good scare at that booth that I really thought was awesome that I won't get into.
Spoilers?
Yeah, I won't spoil that. We're talking a little bit of spoilers on this episode, but I won't spoil that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
This, right?
You just spoiled it.
Well, what do you?
You just say yes. I know what you're talking about.
You can believe it. I thought you were testing me. I don't know.
Okay, I'll just cut that out. Gave me more work, James.
Well, I don't know what you. I thought we were already done with that. You prompted me. I was like, yes. No, because I got a few scares there that I have a vlog ready to go. Not a vlog. I got these little mini snippets on my. I'm doing these shorts that are like a teaser for if we do a long vlog.
Mm-hmm.
And I got one ready to go. I think it's pretty cool. But I get scared twice by the same thing, and it's it's funny.
Oh, you got scared twice from the same thing?
Well, in the video, I think I know. I saw it coming, or maybe I did get scared twice. Who knows? But
hey, that's one thing that horror night scare actors are really good at, man. Is like you could be like, oh, I see you. You're not gonna scare me, and then boom, they get you. They're
yeah.
good at that, man. That
Yeah.
just makes them want to scare you when you're like,
The secret, I think, like a secret of theirs to scaring is not scaring. You gotta know when not to scare too. Like you build that tension, and they know what they're doing. These guys.
I think one of their great tricks is like not using their trigger and then just jumping out at you without their trigger. A lot of times that'll just get you. So, okay, that's Torture Fair. Real quick, I just want to give props to the Quiet Place food booth area. I thought it was very neat how they were like playing along to being quiet. And like, if you were, I saw people that were talking that they try to talk to them at the booth and they were like, shh, like, and they were like signing to them. I love that.
Yeah.
Because to me, we didn't get enough of that in the house. And I think in that environment outside and grabbing some food, it's very immersive. I dug it.
They definitely emphasize it more than last year's sister house or zone, whatever.
Last of Us.
Yeah, because I mean that place you got to stay silent too. But this one, it was all about it. I mean, it's in the title. Last of Us is zombies. It could be misconstrued, but it's all about silence, really. And then, yeah, they went heavy-handed on this one. I love it. Everyone was playing along. Very on brand, very themed.
I did have the light bulb drink, and I believe you did. Yeah, you did too. The light bulb was cool. The drink was pure cough medicine. If you enjoy cough medicine, if you enjoy the taste of that,
no, if
you should get this drink because
if you are into bourbon, it's definitely straight bourbon, pretty much. I mean, there's a little bit of extra, but yeah, I think you're just not a bourbon guy. But other drinks,
wasn't it like cherry bourbon though?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it is, and that's what makes it cough medicine. Like,
was it cherry bourbon?
I'm pretty sure. Oh. Maybe I'm wrong, but man,
I don't know.
When I drank that, it was cough syrup. It was even thick, like cough syrup. No,
I don't know. That was one of the easier ones to drink for me.
No, dude, the easiest one to drink, the best one I had was a Slaughter Cinema drink.
Slaughter Cinema?
Yeah, that was the one with the boba that you got that like tasted like Kool-Aid. I forgot what it was called.
Was that the Shirley Black?
Yeah,
is that one?
That one.
I agree. That was solid.
I'm getting that for sure on the next trip.
At the Mexican booth, the Mercado, the yellow drink, whatever it was, I was not into that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but
there's also something with spice this year. They're going all out with spice.
You talking about a drink or no?
And random things. Well, yeah, there was a drink. I forgot which one it was that had spice to it. The nail board thing, the eclair from the Quiet Place, that was it was spicy. It was a spicy donut plank thing.
Oh, I didn't notice in my foot, and I had a cut. I thought I would have noticed the spice on my foot. Didn't notice.
Gross.
No, I did not step on an eclair. Yet.
The spice is the beet flakes from your...
That's the ultimate test. After your trip, you test your blisters, you test your foot, you step on the spicy eclair.
No.
How strong are you against the nail?
Stop
it's not that strong, so if it beats you, you're in trouble.
Let's move on, please. Okay. So we are now on to the second half of the houses, which are all the tents. And the first tent is going to be at the Fast and Furious queue line. And that is Major Sweet's Candy Factory. I'm gonna say right off the bat that this house,
Uh-oh.
at least for me, not an broke the curse for
Oh.
the houses at Fast and Furious.
Oh, that's so nice of you.
I
That's so nice
thoroughly
to say.
I thoroughly enjoyed Major Suites. Not the greatest house of all time, but I majorly enjoyed it.
Ha. Is that because it's in Fast and Furious? You know, is that because it was fighting an uphill battle already, and you're giving it a little bit of leeway? No.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but no, I really enjoyed what was in that house. I think the
All
concept
right.
worked very well. For one, I love the scare zone back in 31. I know you missed that one, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy it's candy. It's Halloween, first of all. It's this it's this just horror version of Willy Wonka, and the creative director of entertainment at Universal, Michael Aiello, he tweeted that he loves this house because it is a very old school HHN feel. And I can kind of see that. It looks like from what I've like researched on, old HHN, this is kind of what it is. It's very close quarters, and it's very gory. It's a gory house. I expected this to be kind of comedic, and yeah, it does have some comedic lines to it and moments, but it's very brutal. It's it's gory, and I'm for it. It had some great kills. I mean, you saw the freaking taffy machine up above us wrapping the guts into the
Yeah.
taffy. I mean, there's stuff like that. There's the freaking milkman trough, dude, that had a whole
Yeah.
a whole like running water trough that was supposed to be milk going through this guy. Perfection.
Yeah. He had a pipe issue. It wasn't going down the right tube. He was
Mm.
kind of waterboarding himself through his own throat with milk, though, so it's cool. I saw that and I said me because that's me and milk.
Another one of my favorite moments as far as like gore goes was they have this conveyor belt in there that goes from floor to ceiling. So it's like an actual running conveyor belt that's moving, right? And on each little piece of platform on this conveyor belt is a wrapped severed head, like a candy wrapped severed head going up the conveyor belt. And I thought that was brilliant, and I don't know, it worked. Another one of the biggest surprises for me that I look forward to going through and seeing it again. You haven't really said anything about this yet as far as your thoughts on it. So I want to hear what you thought about Major Suites. I did go through this house 3 times, so I got one extra run than you. And my stay in Scream run was the best run that I had. I mean, they really got me on that run, and I think that picked it up for me. But anyway, go on.
I mean, as it stands, even before I went in, like I respected the history that it had. You know, it had a scare zone. It has this backstory. That's already some foundation, some roots for success.
Mm-hmm.
And then going in, you know, stand out against the other houses. You know, this is not like a year of cohesion. This is like everyone stands alone. It's like every man for himself, and it stands for itself. It's gonna be in the top half for sure. I mean, I don't want to give anything away or speculate, but we haven't given our final rankings yet, so I think it's gonna be up there. I mean, it's one for this year. It's one of the better ones.
I think it's a fun house, and it still has time to improve and all that kind of stuff. But as far as story goes, this was one of the houses that was easy to follow, and that might be because I really love the podcast episode, and the podcast episode might have helped with that.
Hmm.
But I enjoyed it, and I think they really packed as much as they could into that tent of Fast and Furious, because this year they didn't include the inside of the building of Fast and Furious. Usually we start inside the building. First half of the house is inside the building, and then there was that weird outdoor kind of break in the house, and we would go into the tent as a second half. This time we just
Hmm.
go straight into the tent, and I think the tent's a little bit bigger this year, but still, for being in that pretty small tent, they fit a lot in there, and it was a decent length, and I'll give them props for that. Oh, one thing we should talk about is you discovered the GAT in this house,
The Gat.
and that's not a gun, ladies and gentlemen. That is the guest activated trigger, and I've always known about these things. I have never actually pressed one, and I always missed them in previous years. So the fact that you noticed it, and it's funny because right as soon as I noticed it, you pushed it, and
I
I
didn't push it. I wanted to, but I was like, it was very obvious, very in our face, and I was like, "Do I
oh,
push it? Do I push it?"
that's right. The guest
Uh,
behind you, the guy behind you, pushed it. I remember now.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
went for it. He slammed it down.
So yeah, this year the guest activated trigger is in major suites, and apparently there's two of them. I think, from what I've
Oh,
heard, there's two of them in there. But I think when that guy hit the trigger, it got me because I think it's a spray of water.
oh, I got you.
I think it was I was the one. Whoever presses it, a couple of people in front of you get the
You
spray.
got gat. You got gat by the gat.
I got gat. I got gat. I don't know, man. Major suites, a lot of fun.
Yeah, why wasn't he the man? I mean, we got Sinister Surreal kind of thrown together.
Yeah, he should have been the icon, but you know.
He's pretty good. You got the whole mascot logo going, real bold, real iconic. I mean, if you're going for that, too bad. I mean, he took up a whole candy store. That's pretty cool.
You never went in there, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't go in there.
We'll definitely check that out. They have an exclusive like Simpsons Big Donut type thing. It's a Major Sweets Halloween donut in there.
Hmm.
All right, we did talk about Blumhouse already, so we'll go ahead and skip that. And then we didn't get to see the Death Eaters this year, but you know, not that big of a deal. Or I guess the
Have
first
you been
run,
keeping up with those? Apparently, they're like thirst trapping everyone. They're like pinning
dude.
them against the walls.
Dude, I've seen the TikToks of those. There, all of a sudden, there's like thirst trap TikToks of the Death Eaters. Anyway,
Dude. Yeah.
we also did not check out Nightmare Fuel this first run. I really just wanted to focus on the houses for those 2 days, and it was hot, and I didn't want to be in that crowded arena or amphitheater, whatever you call it, and the fire and all that stuff. It I want to wait till it's a little cooler and we have a little more time. I do plan on
Hey,
seeing it at least once. So
a plus of the heat though, like when it got soaking wet, when it was like drenching rain,
hmm
it wasn't freezing. At least that it just felt like you sweated nonstop and you felt gross.
yeah.
But I wasn't freezing to death. So at least that pros and
Well,
cons.
I think once it gets a little cooler, it rains less in Florida. 'Cause, I mean, we didn't experience it last year. There was no rain at all. So hopefully
But cold
that'll.
rain is not fun.
It's not no, but
You can only do so much.
hopefully we'll get lucky again and the weather will be nice and won't rain. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the final four houses, which are the four tents over there in the back corner. So we're going to talk about the two new ones first. Right off the bat, I want to talk about a positive, and that positive is the walk that they have and kind of the layout back there. I want to give them props for how they laid that out this year because a lot of fear, before the event started was the walking, how much we were going to be walking this year, and it's actually less than we had been doing the previous years. A lot of the bad walking in the past was the two parade buildings, very long walks for those, which we didn't have this year, and then it was always the walk around the Men in Black building to one of the old tents. This year, we didn't have the parade buildings to walk to, and all we had was this one walk around Men in Black, and once you were back there, you could do those two houses back to back. Very nice. We didn't have to exit all the way out and come back to that same area. They let us exit right in that same courtyard and then go into the second house. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thought on it. I kind of commend them for doing that because they could have totally made us walk more, and they didn't.
Hmm.
So I do think there's way less walking now that there's been the past few years.
Did your hookers do their job?
I mean, yeah, but again, the walks weren't as terrible, and it was nice. As far as the other two tent houses, the entrance was right there by the Men in Black bathrooms, and then the other one was a new entrance over there through the Simpsons queue, and that wasn't bad
Mm.
either. That was pretty short.
I gotta break in some new shoes. My other ones died, but I got some new skate shoes and I got a little bit of time to wear them in for our next trip. So
So that's a bit of a positive note there. So talking about the two new tents, I was really looking forward to seeing how the layout was for these two tents. Once we got there, they looked massive on the outside. I mean, those things are huge. I don't believe they used the space to their full potential. That's my first impression and my kind of controversial thought on them. I feel like space was kind of wasted a lot. Like, I almost feel like those tents could have like same size houses as parade buildings. To me, both those houses felt way too short for the size of those tents. And
Hmm.
I'll go ahead and start with Universal Monsters. To me, Universal Monsters, although was longer than Goblin's Feast, still was too short. And there's an expectation that I think a lot of us fans have with those Universal Monsters houses and the quality that they bring. Boy, this year was kind of a letdown. I hate to say it. I so far my initial thought is this is the weakest Universal Monsters we've seen.
As far as specifically monsters,
Yes,
Universal monsters.
Universal Monsters. It's by far the weakest, and it's was the hardest house to follow as far as story. I did not pick up hardly any story for the runs that I did, and again, probably wasn't paying attention as much as I should have to the story. So another one that I will be closely trying to pick up on, but with Bride of Frankenstein being one of the best storyline houses that they've probably ever created and very easy to follow, and going from that to this pretty much because of the Bride of Frankenstein connection, it was kind of a letdown. I just feel like there was a lot going on, like too many characters that didn't need to be there. I couldn't pick up what was going on, and that's really all I can say. And there was some sets that were cool, but also a lot of wasted space. I feel like, again, with lack of props, lack of just sets that could be more detailed. One thing that I really enjoyed was the little she wolf area. There was that kind of gypsy cart from the original movie, and that's kind of great they put that in there because at Epic Universe in the Monsters Land, there is going to be a Wolfman roller coaster. And the facade of that is like it's going to be like a forest area. And the facade is going to be walking past a little gypsy cart that looks exactly like the one that's in the house. So that's kind of neat they threw that in there. Talking about Epic Universe, a lot of people were kind of hyped for this because this is the last Universal Monsters house before Epic Universe opens. So there was a lot of expectation of this being like, this is it. This is the finale. This could be the last Universal Monsters house for a while because this has kind of all been a promotion for the land. Boy, was this not a way to go out if this is the last one. And I'm sorry I'm being so harsh on it, but I just couldn't vibe with it. I couldn't find anything to like for it on those first few runs that I did, and I'm hoping that changes on the second trip. And again, I'm gonna be paying more attention to story, paying more attention to some details I missed. So maybe it'll be better. I don't know.
If it were to continue this trajectory, and keep trickling, it could be another bad year next year.
I don't think it will. There's going to be enough backlash this year where they're going to be like, all right, we got to step up the game next year because by the time next HHN opens, Epic Universe will be open by then. It'll be months. It'll be a few months into the opening. So, I mean, maybe there could be some budget cuts next year too because technically they are designing HHN before Epic Universe opens. I don't know. I hope not, but after 34, especially 35 being an anniversary year, every 5 years it's technically an anniversary year. I feel like they'll start stepping up their game again then if they don't next year. There's no way that the quality is going to keep dropping because people will complain too much. They'll start losing the amount of people that show up every year because people expect a standard. And I feel like this was their one opportunity to kind of go a little bit on the lower budget because of their new park coming out. But I feel like they're going to have to step it up next year because of this, because of the reviews this year.
They make bank on people coming, but that's really starting to be more of a loyal niche fan base. They're forgetting like the mainstream audience a little, don't you think? Like the prices keep going up. It's more. Are they gonna start appealing to the more widespread audience? Like I'm not saying drop prices, but just make it more worth it to come. You know, because they need all the they gotta sell as many tickets as they can.
Yeah, yeah, and that's their priority all the time. I just think that this year there wasn't like a huge IP to draw people in, so they weren't going to throw a whole bunch of money into that. First of all, so I truly think this is kind of a one-off year. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll bite my words next year. But I think it'll improve. I don't believe that this is going to be the normal standard from now on. No way. There's no way.
Yeah, because
Because people.
like
Sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you talk first.
no, I'm just like all your complaints are valid, and that's coming from you, an expert. And I don't say that lightly. You know, you are the obsession podcast. You coming from you, all of that's valid, and coming from me, just a blank slate. You know, going there to enjoy my time. You know, la di da. Even me, like I saw the bare bones aspect of it, and that's me with no complaints, just kind of just floating through. I see everything you're saying too, so like I'm validating that on top of your authority, because you do have a platform to speak from, and you are.
Well, what I was going to say is a lot of people are comparing this year to actually 10 years ago. There was a
Oh,
couple years, 10 years ago, it was 22 and 23 that were very similar vibe to this, where it just felt like the quality was dropped a little bit.
hmm.
So it it kind of just seems like a pattern that they do for certain reasons. I believe at the time they were building Diagon Alley. It might have been that, or I think Transformers was part of it. Like it was either 22 or 23. They lost a house location, so they went from 9 houses to 8 houses or something like that, or maybe it was 8 to 7. So not only did they lose a house, but the whole event just felt off and lower budget.
You think that's on purpose, or that's just a natural occurrence when something else is, vamping up to come out?
It might be on purpose. I think they might just do that every now and then to save a little bit of money and just like, oh, well, this is kind of an off year. Let me just say this. I'm not going to say that this is my least favorite year yet because it might not be. I still got a whole week to figure out stuff for it to improve on me. I don't know yet. But before, my weakest year was 31. So think about that. Weakest year for me was 31. 32 came along and it was my number 2 favorite year. So I mean, there's off years, there's good years. So it happens. It just years are different. It's not gonna hit the same every single year. That comes with the territory of everything changing every year.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's fully unpredictable though. I mean, patterns are patterns. I mean, every year is going to be different. It is. We don't know what they got in plan in store or what's going to change last minute. There's no really way to know. But pattern wise, like overall, like we cracked the code. We saw which house is replaced with the next house, and it's kind of similar vibe, like Quiet Place and The Last of Us. That's related, and that's not just one example. Like a bunch of houses kind of fill in a similar slot each time.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
But yeah, patterns are a real thing. I mean, it's like numbers. You can't argue with them. Evidence is evidence.
those are kind of my thoughts on that type of stuff of whether this is going to be the normal. No, I don't believe so because, like I said, certain years will
All right.
be weaker than others. It comes with the territory of changing the event every single year. Sometimes it's just not going to hit the same, and there's also the budget stuff. So again, Epic Universe, I think has a lot to do with this year. There is rumors that's not the case, that there wasn't budget cuts. It's just what they came up with this year was not as good as last year. I I'm not convinced on that because of the sets. Okay, so Goblin's Feast. Lots of people have this pretty high. I'm not sure where I have it yet. Not going to say where I have it. Way better than I expected. I'll say that. It doesn't have the Dueling Dragons feel that I was fearing it would, so that's good. Extremely short house. The shortest house of the event, I think. I feel like as soon as it starts, it's over. And again, that big, huge tent, I feel like they didn't use it to their advantage. That's probably budget cuts. They made it shorter because of budget. It was fun though. I mean, it had lots of comedy moments, which I was actually hoping it would. Like at the beginning, there's like jolly good old trolls, jolly good goblins there, like pretending like everything's okay, and then they kind of trick you into becoming their feast. And it's fun. It's a fun concept. Couple of fun sets, but I need to go through it a little more to give a better opinion on it. But right now, it's okay. Better than Monsters, I'll say that.
I wasn't sure what their tactic was going to be, or what aesthetic I was expecting.
Sounds like you
Um,
couldn't pick up on the story much either.
yeah, I guess.
Again, this year has that problem.
Yeah, I mean, they made it easy last year when it's all like Oddfellow. I mean, that's the explanation for everything. Is like, what was it? Something with Oddfellow. Oh, okay. And
Yeah,
it's
but
like
not
not much
not
to
really in
do
the
with him.
houses
There's like,
though. Maybe in his house, but to me the houses
wasn't
were.
it? Wasn't last year they were doing like a different era each house? Like this was the '50s house. This was the '60s house, '70s, '80s.
I think we just kind
I
of
mean, yeah, I don't know if that was official, but that was last year, right? Uh,
assumed that as far as houses go. I think the scare zones had that for sure. Scare zones were a different
hmm.
era, and were all connected to him.
So I like when it's definitely all tied together, and then you can find deeper connections to like reinforce that overall connection. But we didn't have that this year. There wasn't.
But like the houses weren't connected last year very much. I mean, there he had his own house, but I mean, Blood Moon had nothing to do with Oddfellow.
I don't know. Knowing nothing, like going in fresh, like I guess our first icon. I just treated it as a Where's Waldo. He's a pretty good chaperone, I guess, in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like that when someone shows up and they know what's going on and they show you around. That's what Oddfellow was. You know, he was the tour guide. He's a familiar face here and there, tied it all together. Like I don't want to be a broken record, but yeah, very cohesive the whole thing, and that's a strength for it. I mean, even if the houses maybe were not as unified as you're saying, I thought they kind of were. I mean, it was enough to tie together. I mean, he's here, he's there. This has to do with that. I'm good to go. You know, I'm on board. This one I had to like kind of piece together my favorite stories or which one is stands out against which. You know, they have to be when it's not one puzzle piece. They have to complement each other. They have to stand out against each other. It has to be a good variety. And we had variety this year. I'm not complaining. I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, they have more of a fight when they're all individual. Like if they're together fighting for the same story for the same effect, then yeah, they're going in one direction. But these ones, like, not that they're all over the place, but they are very, isolated.
I mean, I suppose I think it's like that every year. But I mean, yeah, maybe last year was had kind of a theme going with everything, but it's kind of like that every year for me, where it's all
And yeah,
different.
I guess it's even the exception to the rule last year. I mean, they don't always do that, so
Yeah.
I can't hold that standard. But it was one of the first ones that I started paying more critical attention to, and it was a good one, for jumping on at that point to do that.
All right. Let's move on to the last two houses, which are the old tents. Slaughter Cinema 2. You want to go first on this one?
They delivered. They did what I knew they would, which I mean, it wasn't a secret. They were gonna come in with the B sides.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I liked it all. It was a good variety, and you know what you want is more than something memorable is like something that's like too much to even remember, and they had that. Like I can't remember every single one. I know there was like a ghost shark, and there was robot Santa, and there's I don't know the alien tooth fairy. Who knows? There was a bunch in there, and they it was enough variety that I'm lost in the sauce. And there was even like alien, what was it, cyber bugs or something? I forget. It was like a parasite robot,
Cyborg,
um,
or was it cyborgs or something like that?
something. Yeah, I don't know. I was happy with it. They did not lack in that house.
Yeah, that house, our first run of that house was the best out of all the runs. It was a blast. Honestly, the very first run that we did, they definitely got us. I got lots of scares that first run, and it was fun. It was just all out fun. Mardi Gras murders.
That's right.
The very first run, and that was the first movie that we walked through, was Mardi Gras Murders. And the dude in the living room or the hotel room, whatever that was, I was not expecting him to go completely full on puke on me. Dude, as soon as I walked in, the blah, and there's like huge spray,
Yeah, the
soaked.
puking dude dying on the couch. Yeah, he was.
A lot of puking this year, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. There was
Yeah.
puking in Insidious, we didn't mention, from the ceiling. Uh, I got puked on from that too. There's like
I got some splashback. Yeah.
I believe it's in the newest Insidious, The Last Key, or not The Last Key, the Red Door. I think it's that one where there's that vomit scene and that's what they're doing. There's that in Major Suites. There's the spray thing. I'm not sure if that's puke or not, but definitely a lot of spray effects this year. You get pretty wet in the houses. But yeah, just so much variety in the house. You know, I love a good Christmas themed house. We haven't really got to experience that. And there
Yeah.
is a Christmas Santa Killer Santa movie in there. Like you said, the Jaws ripoff house, which is great because the fans have been, I don't know if it's jokingly asking for a Jaws house,
Oh dang.
but think about it. All the houses they put into Slaughter Cinema are kind of the ideas that were thrown away. What if that is the Jaws idea?
Yeah.
They were like, well, this will never happen. Let's just put it into Slaughter Cinema. There you go. Got the Jaws house.
That's fun because it's like that flooded basement in The Quiet Place. It's just like another dimensional thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's impossible, but there it is.
Yeah, that Jaws, that giant shark puppet is fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's like their version of Sharknado. We got finally in our little house.
Real quick, I want to go back to a couple of houses because that shark puppet reminded me. Goblin's Feast has this hand puppet that was not working the entire time we were there. I don't know if you remember that giant hand that looked like it was supposed to pop out at you and never did. There was like a strobe effect that happened over it, but
Hmm.
nothing ever happened. So I'm wondering if it was like broken and they're gonna fix it at some point. So that was another kind of, I don't know, down point for goblins. Another puppet I want to bring up, and it's in a positive way, is in Monstros. That one head puppet of El Silbon, same character that got you at the end. That
Mm-hmm.
whoever was manning that was going off, getting right in your face. I want to give props to whoever is running that thing. It's character of the year right there, man. They're going intense. Another thing I want to bring up, and it's kind of on a sad note. Our favorite part, or at least one of my favorite parts of the Ghostbusters house, was taken away. Forgot to mention that.
Onion head, right? Little onion head
I don't
Slimer. Yeah,
I don't know what Onion Head is, man, but yes, Slimer.
that's his name.
Was that his real name? Oh, I think I remember now. Okay, yeah.
That's the sculptor who last minute overnight sculpted Slimer named him
Yeah.
in his craze.
Dude, they took away the costumed scare actor. That dude was also going hard.
Yeah.
He was fun. What happened? Now it's like a mannequin, but it's also a mannequin that can be controlled, so it's, I don't know. I haven't seen what it does yet. I've just heard that it was replaced with that, and there is
Yeah.
still a scare actor that's manning it, but it is different. So
Yeah, that's a shame because that is very true to how it was originally filmed. It was a full body suit with the man arms
yeah.
that they shrunk down to little nugget size.
But sometimes the costumes are like they don't breathe very good, or they don't move around the best, and it's hard to see out of them. Like there's certain things that make them change it throughout the event, and that's one of the good parts about going at the beginning of the event is you get to see things that will get taken away by the end. Things
Yeah,
do
that's true.
evolve, so
Yeah.
it is a shame. But all right, sorry, I went off topic a little bit. I just wanted to talk about things that I just forgot about as far as puppets went.
Shout out Slimer, man, actor,
Yeah,
lady, whoever.
you were the goat.
What's good, my slime? You killed it.
Back to Slaughter Cinema, really fun house. I can't say if it was better than the original, but definitely fun. Definitely a standout, especially the first night we went through it. The final house to talk about is the Museum Deadly Exhibits. I've already said it. The line, the new queue line to get in it is great. I wish they would have done that, a long time ago. It's a great new addition to like the layout of the event, so we don't have to walk very much. So that's good. Why don't you go first with your thoughts on museum before I say anything?
Didn't get no skeleton. I wanted some dinosaur skeletons. Ben Stiller actor kind of showed up
He did.
sometimes.
He did at the beginning.
Yeah, not bad. Not too memorable. I don't know what else I got. The rotting stone still not super explained. What do you got? Rotting stone.
Um, yeah, the museum was, I don't know, barely a
What?
museum to me. Like there, as far as like exhibits went, there weren't exhibits that I was expecting to see. The idea that I had in my head was very different from what it actually was. It wasn't even scary at all. I was thinking this house was going to be like the scary house this year. Besides Insidious, like this was going to be the other terrifying house, and it really
Yeah, the
wasn't.
name was gonna be a misdirect, right? It was gonna be like secretly the under sleeper or whatever.
Oh yeah, we were thinking it could be the secret sinister house or whatever, the secret icon house.
Yeah, but in reality, I think it lived up to its name. You know, it was a bland name. It was a semi bland house. They set you up expecting maybe there's a little more, not really. So it's about on brand. It just stayed true to itself.
Another house that was on the shorter side. The sets were definitely lacking, in my opinion. There was one cool set in there that was like a Viking ship. It was okay. The rest of it wasn't that memorable, like you said. Nothing too crazy about it. The rotting stone toward the end, I didn't even notice the first run we did, and then second time I realized, oh, that's the stone. Just kind of a
Yeah,
blob of.
and I'm left with the same questions. Do you touch it and you rot, or does it make things rot, or is it alive and it's rotting? Still don't know.
I don't know. Again, story wise, not too great as far as I
Yeah.
could tell on the first runs.
Did it smell rotty? I don't remember a smell.
I don't think so. The only smells I can actually remember from this year so far is Major Sweets. It had the sweet candy smell in there. That was nice. Beside that, there wasn't too many smells on that first week, besides fog. But
That new fog smell.
again, I'll have a lot more to talk about on our final ranking episode, just because I'm
Hmm.
gonna pay a lot more attention to the details this go around. So we'll see. We'll see if anything improves, if anything goes down. I don't know, man. Another thing that could be hurting, the overall feel of the event is just the overall layout of the event has changed so much since the first years we've been going.
Yeah,
I'm
the whole minions thing, right?
I mean, think about it. Yeah, we had the minions. We had the minions scare zone down that kind of walkway right there. But we also had the Shrek theater. We
Hmm.
always had a house at that location, and then we had the 4 sound stages. Then we also had the Men in Black tent that was like right beside the Fear Factor and Men in Black ride. And then we had the 2 parade buildings that are now gone. So the overall layout of the event was so much more spread out than it is now. Now it's just kind of one corner of the park and another corner of the park. You know
The
what I'm saying?
times there is a changing. Yeah. Nah, it used to be. I think it's just all the space is getting bought up.
It is.
The real estate is being taken up by all places. All the despicable illuminations. It's all the
DreamWorks.
everyone else butting in. Yeah, DreamWorks. They picked their favorites and they got them on the dream team. No Shark Tale, thank you. No Oscar the fish slapping Marty the zebra.
Oh God.
Cancel
Uh,
the fish too, man.
oh, we rode Men in Black and Will Smith wasn't on the screen. I don't know if that's a permanent
Oh
thing.
man.
I don't know if that's a permanent thing or if that was just that night. But when we rode it, he wasn't there. He wasn't
Yeah,
flashing us.
talk about a slap in the face.
If
uh,
anybody can tell us if that's been gone for a while or if that was just a fluke thing when we wrote it.
yeah, is he gone? Is he out? Hey, maybe he was never there, or as far as we know, they flashed our memory.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all we got for these first impressions. I'm sorry we were so harsh on it, but that's just how I feel right now. And again, it has nothing to do with those scare actors, because those scare actors were the reason I was still having fun. And there were still some good houses. I'm not saying the houses are terrible this year. It's just lacking in certain departments this go around,
Yeah, less focused, which I don't think it had to be so unfocused. I mean, a little bit of cohesion here and there, it would have been a unified front. It would have been
Yeah.
more intentional.
And you are right with the cohesion thing with like the icons. I feel like the icons are just there. There is nothing connected to them. But to me, that's not the biggest issue this year. I've already said it. I've already said what I think the issues are. The icons they're just there for me, whatever. But I just hope that there's a little bit of improvement whenever we go the second trip. I mean, obviously the sets aren't going to change very much, but just the overall feel, I hope, is a little better. Another thing that had some budget cuts, I feel like, is the merch. The merch isn't as great as it's been. It's kind of weird. Like, why is it so punk vibes out of nowhere? It doesn't fit with the theme. It's straight up just one little movie in Slaughter Cinema 2 is the reason that we're getting the merch that we're getting this year.
Yeah, is it just a coincidence that Vans Warped Tour is coming back and all this?
I don't know.
It's just weird timing, right?
Yeah, weird timing. But be on the lookout for another live episode that we're possibly going to be doing for our second trip, and then for our final ranking episode. Hopefully we'll have better things to say. Again, sorry, so harsh on the event. We still love it. I still can't wait to go see it. Again, we're going to be at the event October 30th through November 3rd. I got all 5 nights to go to. James, unfortunately, can only go for 3 of the nights because he was only able to grab the frequent fear tier because that was all that was left at the time. So James has got Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday to go to. I will be there for the Friday and Saturday, though. So if you happen to see us with our shirts, feel free to say hi. We are going to be wearing our HHN Obsession podcast shirts.
Oh, yeah, with the scannable code.
Yeah, we'll have our QR code on the back. So if you happen to see some QR code on the back of some shirts, probably going to be us. And we still have plenty of stickers to give out. So come say hi if you see us during those days.
Be sure to say happy birthday out here if you remember, if you're out here. Yeah. Hopefully we put out some videos this year. So y'all say hi for sure. My rule, I've been saying, tell me. And it's an instant consent thing. It's like it skips the like, can we be on video?
Mm-hmm.
Just if you tell me like party on, dudes, that tells me you're cool.
Okay,
party on, dudes.
That's the code. That's the code. Just remember, if you say party on, dudes, that means
it's the call and response to be excellent to each other. So it's like the second part. So hey, tack it on. That's what I'm gonna do. Whenever we put out videos, it's gonna be cool. But for me, I'm putting out videos just on my own, just little things here and there.
All right. And also, of course, be sure to follow us on all our social medias. We got Instagram, we got Twitter X, we got Blue Sky, and we got Threads, all at HHN Obsession. Be sure to follow us there. Please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts if you listen there, and a 5-star rating on Spotify if you can. And here's something cool that's new with Spotify that I forgot to mention the last time we recorded. Was you can now leave comments on the episode on Spotify. So leave us some comments on Spotify. Tell us what you think about the episode. Tell us your thoughts on the event. Anything. Give us a comment on Spotify because you could do that now.
Yeah. Be mean if you want.
No, don't be mean. Come on.
All press is good press.
All right. Well, we hope to see you guys in the fog. We hope you guys are enjoying HHN, no matter how harsh we were and how harsh other people are being. It's still a fun time. We still go there to forget about the real life. And that's how I feel. That's how I remain. That's how I continue to feel about the event. So, again, I'm only harsh about it because I love it. So
you can find me at Illuskator. It's 8 characters with the 8 in it. ILLUSK8R. I think it's pretty simple, but anyway.
Catch you guys later, and we'll see you there in the fog. Last week of HHN.
You're damn right. Just wait a while, giving you the hate with your face now. Wait a while, giving you the hate with your face now. Wait a while, giving you the hate with your face now. Wait a while, giving you the hate with your face now.
Just wanted to give a quick shout out to my good friend Zach Weber, who provided our intro and outro song, Heebie Jeebies. You can listen to the full version of Heebie Jeebies on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, or anywhere where you listen to your favorite music. Thanks for listening.